She'd been married 5 times, and 5 men had fallen into chaos, violence, or death after crossing her path. 1 husband shot, another mysteriously poisoned, and the last slowly dying as his blood sugar dropped to fatal levels, while she stood by, watching. Welcome to Echoes of Crimes, where we uncover the darkest mysteries, the most shocking crimes, and the chilling truths that hide in plain sight. From cold cases and unsolved mysteries to the crimes making headlines right now, nothing is off limits. Every detail, every twist, every chilling clue, we bring it all to light. So lock your doors, dim the lights, and get ready, because what you're about to hear may keep you up at night. In October 2025, a Texas jury delivered a chilling verdict, sentencing 48-year-old Sarah Hartsfield to life in prison for the murder of her husband, Joseph. But investigators say this may just be the beginning, because as they dig deeper, they found a pattern of death that stretches across decades, states, and marriages. This is not your typical domestic homicide case. It's a story of control, deception, and manipulation. The kind that leaves even veteran detectives speechless, because every man who loved Sarah Hartsfield either ended up in the hospital, in hiding, or in a grave. Today, we're breaking down one of the most twisted true crime cases of the year. How a seemingly ordinary Texas woman became one of the most talked about killers in America. To the outside world, Sarah was just another Texas mom, a devoted wife posting smiling photos with her husband, Joseph. They lived in Beach City, a quiet community in Chambers County, not far from Houston. But behind those smiles, the relationship was anything but perfect. Joseph Hartsfield was a 46-year-old Army veteran. Friends described him as kind, trusting, and a little too forgiving. Sarah, she was confident, controlling, and unpredictable. Friends began noticing signs of emotional abuse, isolation, manipulation, even threats. Joseph's adult daughter later told investigators her father had confided that he was scared, but felt trapped. On January 7, 2023, 911 dispatchers in Chambers County received a call from Sarah. She reported her husband was unresponsive. Paramedics rushed to their home, but Joseph was already gone. At first, it looked like a tragic diabetic emergency. Joseph had type 1 diabetes, something Sarah knew well. But when doctors reviewed his medical data, they noticed something disturbing. Joseph's glucose monitor showed his blood sugar had crashed hours earlier and remained dangerously low, long before Sarah ever called for help. It was as if someone had intentionally let him die. An autopsy confirmed it. Joseph had an excessive amount of insulin in his system, too much to be accidental. And Sarah, she was the only one home that night. When detectives began questioning Sarah, her story changed several times. She claimed Joseph may have given himself too much insulin, then said he'd been acting strangely. But investigators quickly discovered disturbing internet searches on her phone. Terms like, how much insulin kills a person, and can insulin cause cardiac arrest? They also found text messages where Joseph begged her to help when his sugar dropped, and she didn't respond for hours. It became clear that this wasn't negligence. It was deliberate. When investigators dug deeper into Sarah's past, a terrifying pattern emerged. She had been married, or engaged, 5 times before Joseph. One ex-husband had been shot during a domestic argument in Minnesota. Sarah claimed self-defense. No charges were filed. Another ex-fiancé died suddenly, under unclear medical conditions. And two more former partners had filed restraining orders, describing her as violent and controlling. Prosecutors began to believe Sarah had a dark, consistent motive: power, money, and revenge. And in each case, she found a way to make herself the victim. In September 2025, Sarah Hartsfield finally went to trial. Prosecutors described her as a master manipulator, someone who weaponized medicine to kill. She knew what insulin could do. She knew exactly how long it would take, and she made sure he couldn't get help. The defense tried to argue Joseph's death was accidental, but jurors weren't convinced. The evidence, the messages, the monitor data, the Google searches, was overwhelming. After just 5 hours of deliberation, the jury returned a verdict: guilty of murder. Sarah showed no emotion as the sentence was read: life in prison without parole. But even as Sarah began serving her life sentence, detectives were far from finished. Authorities in Minnesota and Missouri have reopened several cold cases tied to her previous relationships. Some experts now believe she may have harmed, or even killed, more men than anyone yet realizes. If true, Sarah Hartsfield could become one of America's most prolific female killers in decades. In the end, the story of Sarah Hartsfield is about more than just one murder. It's a reminder of how manipulation and control can hide behind a smile, and how evil can live quietly in a suburban home. As investigators continue to piece together her past, one haunting question remains: how many more men suffered before anyone realized what she was capable of? This is the story of the Texas Black Widow. If you found this case as disturbing as we did, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because the next story might be even darker.